Hello and welcome to this video on Pestle. So in this video we're going to look at some of the external influences on corporate strategy. So when we talk about Pestle, we're not talking about this, we're not talking about pestle and mortar. We're talking about the acronym that stands for political, economic, social, technological, legal and environmental, or sometimes ethical. And here we're looking at these different influences that happen from outside the business, so external influences, and how they can affect the strategy that a business is adopting. So businesses often undertake what's known as a Pestle analysis. And this is a way that they can assess the key features of the external environment that they face, and as a result, adapt or introduce new corporate strategies. So let's start going through. The P is for political. So these are things to do with the government and the state. So for example, changes in taxation or spending, changes in international trade or competition regulation, deciding a business has to sell off some stores, or maybe the government passed a law about price rises or start regulating the business. These sorts of issues might get a company to start thinking about changing their strategy. The E is for economic, and again we might be thinking of these sorts of things: the business cycle, interest rates, exchange rates, inflation, and how they might be impacting upon the strategies that a business might adopt. For example, if it's a boom in the business cycle, we might think about changing our pricing strategy. Social factors. So these are things like demographics, the makeup of society, the fact that we get increasingly a high proportion of society are older people, and so maybe we want to change our product portfolio, our product mix, to perhaps target more of this type of group. Again, things like changing taste or fashion, or the work of pressure groups. So for example, organisations trying to get us more concerned about perhaps animal welfare, or more concerned about the dangers of certain chemicals. T is for technology. So if the competition are bringing out new products, or if we can bring out new products using new technology, what's happening in terms of e-commerce and the patterns of spending, what's happening with new technologies disrupting certain industries like Uber in the taxi industry, and how a taxi company might respond in terms of their strategy. Legal issues, so these might be to do with laws, for example, labour law, so a change in the law on how whether workers can be parts of unions would maybe impact our human resources strategy. Things like the minimum wage again might impact on our human resources strategy, or possibly our financial strategy in terms of cost. Environmental or ethical, again, how might this affect our operational strategy, how we make our products, or perhaps our marketing strategy, how we advertise ourselves, make customers aware, how it might impact our overall corporate objectives. And we have again some areas that would come under this term. So a Pestle analysis, firstly we identify issues that could affect the business using each of those categories. What are the political issues that might be affecting the business? What are the economic issues that might be affecting the business? And so on. We then identify the impacts these have had, or are having, or perhaps will have in the future. And then we consider how we should respond to these influences. Do we need to adapt our strategies and change our strategies as a result of these influences from the external environment? Let's have a look at an example here. So if we have a think about Apple, well, in terms of politics, we might think of maybe new government regulations. They're concerned about mobile phone usage being hidden from them, and so there might be some regulations coming here where they want to get access to messages through Apple devices. That might have to change our strategy, or how we sell ourselves to our customers perhaps. Economic, if there's a slowdown in China, one of our growing markets, how is that going to affect us in terms of our global marketing strategy? Should we continue to focus on China? How is it going to affect us financially? S, the change in demographics. Do we need to change our product design perhaps to target perhaps older people if the society is changing? Technology, if there's investment in innovation by competitors, how is that going to affect our products? Are our rivals, Samsung, are they going to catch us up? Do we need to refocus our strategy on research and development? In terms of legal issues, if there is a global crackdown on avoiding tax, or perhaps moving, having offshore companies or companies in countries that have lower rates of tax, how are we going to have to restructure our business as a result? Ethical, in particular, maybe treatment of suppliers. So where our products are made in Foxconn City in China, is that strategy of offshoring our production going to have to change if there are concerns about treatment of suppliers? So in this video, we've looked at the Pestle model, how business can use this framework to analyze the external environment and identify issues that might affect their strategies. That's it. Thank you very much for listening.